I went to London to visit a friend, and I figured while I was there, I'd check out some stationery and pen shops. During my research, I found that the high cost of being in London, many of the brick and mortar shops ended up transitioning to be online. I'll be featuring what I consider are the best shops that are actual brick and mortar stores, and I'll be giving away one of the pens I purchased. If you're interested in only a few stores, I'll have each store time-stamped along with what I thought was best about them down below. The first place is called Choosing Keeping, and as you can see, they're having work done on the outside, so I'll just show you a picture of their postcard. And as you can see, it's a beautiful shop front, and the inside is just the same. I consider this shop to be the best kind of overall shop. It just kind of hit everything, and it was kind of more what you would consider a traditional stationery shop. The inside was bright and airy, and of all the shops, they had the most Japanese fountain pens. They were probably the most fountain pen forward of all the stationery stores that I went to. Having just moved from Japan, I had a little bit of sticker shock, but I was quite impressed with their selection and also their knowledge about the different fountain pens. They had a nice selection of fountain pen ink from all over the world, and a small selection of glass pens. They also had a sizable collection of different kinds of specialty papers and things made from specialty papers. And for the artists, they had watercolors, pigments, tools, and pastels. And they had specialty stationery items like wax seals, and this cool little clip that I'll be using for my traveler's notebook. Their journal selection was a real standout. They had some Japanese ones, but they had a lot of journals that they kind of put together themselves. This is an interesting journal made from what they call rescued paper. It's put together with odds and ends of old paper and then just some blank paper, so that would really lend an interesting touch to your journaling. So you have different kinds of paper, different thicknesses, different kinds of texture. I think it would really make a fun, creative little project. Here's one of their giant A4 size journals. It has their own paper on the inside. You get a little sticker to stick on the outside. It has their lined paper on the inside, along with a pretty pattern on the edge. And the journal is covered with handmade paper. And like a proper stationery store, they sell letter sets. It's Italian handmade paper with deckled edges and a beautiful texture. And the envelopes are lined with a rose patterned paper. This street leads up to my absolute favorite store, Present and Correct. I almost didn't go to this store because I thought maybe it wouldn't appeal to me. The inside has this minimalist look, and coming from Japan, things are either overly cute or very minimalist, and I thought, maybe they're not going to really have anything there that interests me. But I was so wrong. This store I would consider the most creative store, had the most creative things. These diagrams teach artists about shapes, but they're stamps, and so I thought that would be really cool to stamp some of my journals with that. This store kind of makes you think outside of the box. They had full-up beakers, but I have a lot from Japan, but I've never seen them anyplace else. Or this is like a big tube of Japanese paste. And petri dishes. Why a stationery store would have petri dishes, I don't know, but they're really cool. And I bought a couple to store small things in. And they had a collection of old paper paraphernalia. For instance, if you did computers back in 1975, you would recognize this. I bought a couple to use as bookmarks. And lately, haven't you said that wasn't on my bingo card? Well, I've got a bingo card. I've never actually owned a bingo card before. They had a variety of different journals made in different European countries, but this one was made in England. It's by the company Katie Lehman, and it satisfied my touristy urge to buy things that were made in the UK. If you're interested, I can put out a video comparing the different papers made in Europe. My favorite journal is this English penmanship made in Japan back in 1960. The backside instructs you how to write the alphabet, and the lined paper on the inside is a little bit brown around the edges because it's so old. It cracked me up because in the 1960s I was actually living in Japan. And my favorite thing I got was this hand guy. Hands are supposed to be hard to draw, so you can position this hand and then draw it, but the thing just terrifies my husband. Expect to see this guy more. And even their shopping bag is pretty cool. I brought this one back. It's black and it has like this little clip and like a library card. This whole thing is like set up to be a library card kind of thing. Next, we're going to the fancy part of town, to Green & Stone, the store that I think is the most British. It's a lovely combination of both new and antique writing and art supplies. If you're interested in antique stationery and art supplies, or just antiques in general, this is your place. Much of their stationery items are displayed in antique cabinets and shelves. But don't let that fool you. There's a lot of art supplies and modern stationery equipment. Here's an old sterling silver watercolor box and some of their new ones. Though it appears at first glance that it mainly appeals to people that are artists, the only 2 fountain pens I bought in London, I bought here. And I absolutely fell for the antique stationery items. This is a late Victorian era clip. And this is a hallmark sterling silver pencil holder from 1918. You know, when your pencil gets really stubby and small and you need to kind of extend it. Here you can see the hallmark. I first saw Tom's Studio pens at the Yoseka Stationery Fair in New York last summer. And since then, they've exploded in popularity. This one is called the Wren, and it's basically a refillable felt tip pen. These kinds of refillable pens have been very popular in Japan for a little while. You basically stick this absorbent thing into ink and then put it into your pen. It comes with a small bottle of ink, and I'll be adding extra tips and extra filling material, and this will be my giveaway. I'll explain more at the end of the video. I also got their pocket pen with their Pro Flex nib, which is basically a zebra nib with an ebonite feed. It comes with a cartridge and then like a little syringe in which you can clean out the cartridge and refill it with ink and reuse the cartridge. Both of these pens are in the color Ivy, which is the color for Green & Stone and made in the UK. Now, going back toward the British Museum, we're going to L. Cornelissen Sons, which was established in 1855. They've maintained their original Victorian fittings, and they're the best store to go to see what an old-fashioned stationery store looked like and to be able to get hard-to-find traditional art supplies. As you can see, it's a beautiful store, and it's mostly traditional art supplies, but I was able to sniff out the stuff related to fountain pens. I found their ink, and they had some doozies. This is their Cornelissen Historical Ink range. I got their traditional iron oak gall ink, some Roaring Klinger pigment ink, and forged lamp black ink. This ink is insane. It's made out of lamp black, basically just ash. I'll be doing a video on iron gall ink later, and I'll include this in the video. And here's some straight up Roaring Klinger's pigment ink. My favorite way to travel around in London was those ubiquitous double-decker red buses. You just swipe your credit card at the entrance, climb up on the second floor, and play tourist. And this brings us to Shepards Bookbinding, the best store for, of course, bookbinding and also beautiful papers. The inside has all kinds of old bookbinding machinery, and of course, papers, and papers galore. They, of course, had all kinds of paper to make journals and bookbinding, decorative papers in which they made like little desk items like boxes, all made in England. And they have all the tools for bookbinding. I ended up getting a bone folder. They have the material to make the spine of the book, and even different kinds of thread for bookbinding. And of course they have stationery like this cool 3D kind of ship-in-a-bottle card. But probably my favorite thing that I got in London is this Shepards marbled sketchbook. The cover is Payhambury marbled paper that's made in Scotland, and it's got a quarter leather spine and 28 leaves of 190 GSM watercolor paper made by the St. Cuthbert's Mill. As we travel the Thames toward our next shop, remember, Nazis are evil. There's copious amounts of irrefutable proof that they detained, tortured, and murdered millions of people. Nothing, even tangentially related to them, is good. And as the Thames flows to the sea, we flow through life, and we make choices. Don't be evil. The family that runs Stuart Stevenson have been in business for over 40 years. They're really kind of an art shop with a niche specialty of gilding. I really wanted to take home one of those big paint brushes, but it wouldn't fit my suitcase. There were all kinds of artist's material, but there was plenty of things for a fountain pen person. As a matter of fact, I think they are the best store for fountain pens other than Japanese fountain pens. They had different kinds of journals and writing papers and lots of fountain pen ink. Like quite a few of the stationery shops, they carried Tom's Studio. This is the first place where I saw the Tom Studio sample size bottles of ink. This cheeky little sample is packaged in an eyedropper, which is really kind of convenient, and it's about the right size for a sample. One of the cool things about shopping at little local-owned stores like this is you get introduced to unusual things. Will Dowden, who runs Lillian May Studios, believes in plastic-free art supplies. This paint palette and brush holder are made by his mom, aunts, and nephew from ceramic. Using pigments, he mixes his own watercolor paint and puts it in these ceramic little palettes. He has paint-alongs on his Instagram account. I tried some offbeat approaches to finding stationery in London with varying degrees of success. I went to the Bermondsey Antique Market in hopes of maybe finding some vintage pens. It was mostly small collections of silver serving sets and teacups, and it's explained to me that prices are just so high in London. If you're looking for vintage or antique, you're best off looking outside of London. So this is a bit of a bust unless you're staying in a hotel really close by, which we were. But I managed to get this kind of older pencil. They said it was like Victorian, but I'm not really sure. But I got it mainly because you could carry around a dip nib, like sheathed like that. And I'm always worried about stabbing somebody with my dip nib, so this worked out pretty good for me. And then I checked out Harrods because someone said they had a pretty good stationery section. It was pretty much, well, big box store kind of stuff. And surprisingly, their ritzy pen collection included no pens made in Britain. I ended up going to Smyson to get a couple of their notebooks. I got a small little notebook to carry around in my purse and a beautiful little bit larger one. The sales lady, who was very knowledgeable about paper and was Japanese, talked about how Smyson was the first company to make really thin paper that was strong. Each page is watermarked, and I'll need to test out these claims later on. So not for pens, but go to Harrods for the spectacle of the place. This is their famous central escalator. Or go to their really great food halls where there's all kinds of yummy food and great gifts to buy for people. And the frou-frou store that did pan out for me was Fortnum Mason. Again, I was told they had a really good stationery section, and to tell you the truth, I vote for them for the best stationery shop that has really expensive and high-end desk items. They had a huge selection of these 3D cards, which were really prevalent in Japan too, and I kind of missed them, so I got one. Here you can buy a beautiful El Casco $300 stapler or $600 pencil sharpener. I wanted to afford my plane ticket home, so instead I got this thing called the Iris. Say you want the center of your circle there. You put the stand in the middle and then move the tip to the point where you want the center of your circle. And adjust the iris to the size you want and draw your circle. I've done a lot of afternoon teas, and by far the Fortnum Mason one was the absolute best. You'll need to make reservations ahead of time. Now we'll go down the stairs at Fortnum's to go to the store that I think is the best store for people who live in London. Though the outside of their store looks like something out of Peaky Blinders, this is the one store that has the power of square footage. If you're looking for a wide variety of products from art supplies to journaling, fountain pens, and printing supplies, but you don't want to go to a soulless big company store, this is your place. London Graphic Center has Japanese journals, these are Midori's, and Japanese masking tape and Japanese office supplies, and a pretty good selection of traveler's notebook supplies. You can get things from a dip calligraphy pen to cute kitty cat roller tape. And there's a whole second floor of nothing but art supplies. So if you're not looking for atmosphere or tradition, but you want a wide variety of analog and artistic items, this is the place to go. For the giveaway of the Ren refillable pen, just go to my Instagram, follow, and put any kind of comment below the picture of the hand. I'll use a random comment generator to pick someone in 1 week and then edit my post to announce the winner. And I'll close this video out with the bells of Suffolk Cathedral.